I had a very different impression. I think he was doing a lot. I think it's crazy. I took so many classes, but I'm so scary. But we like hung out. Like, and it really is so many friends.
The only thing that made me not afraid of him anymore is because we were the only two people in the Kate Lounge Saturday and Sunday at the same desk. Just like
I know now, like, Claire still sits at that desk. So anytime I work with Claire, I sit at Claire's desk, and I'm like, this feels so weird because it would be Cooper, Claire, and then I would sit on the opposite side here. Someone would hang out here, or Charlie, or sitting next to us on the 6th while I was interviewing Cooper. Cooper started interviewing Claire. Claire's also good.
Claire's just like in my club, and I just like also casually see Claire.
Like project partners, like that's okay. Like we hang out all the time now. It's crazy. All right, what is this? Shall we start?
Yeah, if I could present.
But I want to get an announcement to you when you teach. Oh no.
Are you screen recording? Everything happy, yay! Good things are happening.
Can someone get the door? Can someone get the what?
I'm gonna
Okay, everyone, we will get started with some announcements. Okay, hello everyone. My name's Brianna. You probably remember me from the first week. I taught you all the installations. I'm also the head instructor. But anyway, I have this fun announcement. So I sent it out, I think yesterday, but I'm starting this new talk series with my friend Eli. It's basically a way, so junior and senior undergrads have done research. We've collected about 4 of them, and these are their topics. And then we're hoping that their talks would be super low level, like you just need a high school education to understand them. So if you want to learn about some really cool undergrad research that's going on, highly recommend checking out this talk series. Also, we're going to do a panel at the end. So if you want to ask, like, hey, you want to learn more about, like, what kind of work they're doing, or how did they get into research, or like what are questions in their field, like what even is research? You know, that's what this is geared for. So if you're interested, please check it out. Yeah, so that's my first announcement. And then this is my second one. Please scan this QR code like right now. It's an assignment on Gradescope. Some people have already kind of sent us a thank you, but this is for the review sessions next week. This will help us determine what you guys are still confused about, what you want us to cover, because all of next week is review. So hopefully that should help you guys out. But yeah, just take a couple minutes, fill that out, and then it'll give you a password, and then copy and paste that password into Gradescope to get credit for the assignment. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Cool.
Wonderful. We'll give y'all a second to get that QR code. But once we're done with that, we're gonna ask everyone to close up their laptops and grab some paper. So take a second, and then. Oh. Well, yes, this I think is a typical slide.
And we are screen sharing today.
Okay. These are just some other general deadline announcement type stuff. Homework 1 has its late deadline due today, which means 2 weeks past when it was actually due. So please make sure you turn that in. Again, if like there are any circumstances which are not allowing you to do so, please feel free to reach out to some of the instructors or help you out. Homework 3, the regular deadline is today, and then we're gonna release. Oh, homework 4 is released and will be due next week on Wednesday. And yes, the form.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to do this?
Yes. So I'm going to ask everyone to close up their laptops, grab some paper, and we're going to work through, or I'll have you guys talk through, considering this is a discussion. Find some people around you, and I'll give you guys a couple of moments to write some answers to these questions. Please put your laptops away. That was not like that. I'm so anonymous. No, Sean. Yep, feel free to talk to the people around you. It's okay if you don't know the answers. We're going to go over them. Just try to come up with something. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to like wave me over, yell them out, anything.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to be stressed.
Also, you don't need to write the questions down. I'll have them up here and then all the slides will be made available.
Oh, cool.
It's okay. I have them on.
It's okay. I usually just go back and forth between this one and just explain it.
Makes sense.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can use the arrow.
Okay, have people it's gone silent, so I assume either people are working in silence or you kind of have already come up with some answers. So let's just go over the first question. What does it mean to negatively index a list? Does anyone want to? Yep.
Next, going backwards to the last parameter is -1.
Perfect. So exactly. So the way to negatively index a list is to go -1, which basically means you can go backwards. This is super helpful sometimes because you don't know, like, if you have a really, really long list and you want the last number, you don't want to be like list at the last thing if you don't know it. You can, in theory, do that, but sometimes it's easier to just go backwards. So that is an example of how and why you would negatively index. Next, if you were given this list of numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, how would you produce 4 and 10? The hint is to use slicing and striding. Can anybody remind me what slicing and striding is? Yes.
Slicing is where you start and stop. Sliding is
Yeah, perfect. So slicing, exactly. Every time you do any kind of list indexing, you have 3 parameters that you can put in: a start point, a stop point, and a step point. The step is just how many you jump, like taking a number of steps. So to produce 4 and 10, you could just do start at 1. And if you don't put anything in between the parameters, it's just going to default to either the start or end. So this is just defaulting to the end of the list, and you're skipping every 3. So you're going to get 2, 4, so on and so forth. Okay, sorry, 4 and 10, and so on and so forth. Okay, next is how do you access the values in a dictionary? I realize I've been like flipping back and forth, so people probably saw the answer, but firstly, can someone remind me what the 2 main components of a dictionary are? Anytime you define a pair in a dictionary, what do you have to put in? Yeah, go ahead.
keys and values.
Perfect. So you have keys and values. Each key corresponds to a bunch of values. So they basically pair up really nicely, which makes it a really good way to store information. So to access just the values in a dictionary, does anybody know how to do that? Yeah.
Would it be the name of the dictionary .values?
Perfect. So you would just do the name of the dictionary .values. And similarly, how would one access just the keys in a dictionary? Yeah. Oh, or no, you're good. Go ahead. Perfect. So the name.keys. So you have dictionary name.values or dictionary name.keys. Now, let's say you want to access both the values and keys. You want to get like the pairs as an output. You will use dictionary name.items. So that'll just give you all the items. Anyone have any questions about like the general structure of lists and dictionaries? Yeah.
When you have like the values or if you're calling, what goes inside this? Is that like the number?
So sometimes, specifically in this case, when you just have parentheses, that's just like an empty function call. So you don't actually have to put anything in these parentheses. They don't expect any input. So you just have to do dot something and then the parentheses.
So like, is there something you can't put in the parentheses or like, or are they just there for show?
I don't know off the top of my head, but a good way to find out, and I will show you, and we'll get familiar with this very, very soon. But what you can do is always look up, sorry, I'm opening your computer, is you can always open up documentation. So let's say that in your case, you want to look at what dictionary values. That's what we're looking at. Let's ignore Copilot. So this one is an inbuilt function into Python. So you might not get like a clear documentation page, but if you click on something like Geeks for Geeks or whatever, you'll see like you have d.values. It's just empty and you see what it does.
And usually this is what happens. You'll see something called parameters and it'll tell you, does it take any parameters? If it says it will not take any, you can't put any in there. And then sometimes it'll say, here are the like parameters that are required and here are optional parameters. And that will all be visible on documentation. So if you ever have a question like that, you can totally find it. But for example, specifically for this kind of dictionary processing, you don't want to access any, you don't want to put anything in the parentheses or it will yell at you because it's a method call. Yeah. How do I go back to the slides? Oh, sorry. It's okay.
Oh, that is not it. Lol. Sorry. Where did it go? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
This is diabolical. There it is.
Okay. Lovely. Cool. Any other questions about general list dictionary? We'll talk more through them right now, but yeah, no, you're so okay. So in a dictionary, the way that we define it, it's like this cool little structure where you put in this like curly bracket. And then the way a dictionary works is you have keys and values. So you can think of them as like, what's a good way to think about it? Actually, I'm just gonna explain what it is and then it'll make sense. But let's say that you have, you want to store names, for example. And you have like 5 people's names, and then you have the same people you want to store their ages, and then you want to store maybe like a fun fact about them. So the way you would do that is you would create this key called name. You put a colon, and then you could put like a list of people's names, and then you could create another key called age, and then you could have, let's say, like numbers 1, 2, so on and so forth, and then etc. So each key has a set of values that correspond to it. So that's just kind of, you can kind of think of it kind of exactly like how you would look for a word in a dictionary. Like it's kind of the same. There. Okay.
Can you make 2 values map to each other? Like you're giving an example of person, like the person's age. How do you make that map to each other?
So can you make it that 2 values have the same key?
Or like 2 values from different keys like relate to each other. Is it just putting them in the same order?
Oh, you could, you're saying like if you want somebody's name to correlate to their age, right? If they're in the same, you would be able to index it.
Yeah.
So like if they're both in slot 2, if I was first and then Pranithi's name is second and whatever Pranithi's age is, you would just have to put it in the same index slot.
Yeah. So you just have to put it, like you were saying, yeah, you just put it in the same order. So you just make sure that it's structured that way, and then you can just index.
That's how like most data is structured. So like if you're collecting a survey data or something like that and you ask somebody what's your name and age, you're gonna like your number is gonna be like index number 1. And then the next person, whoever you take their index 2 and yada yada.
Yep. Perfect.
We're good with the slide?
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, we're gonna do like a lecture review and demo. So just feel free to listen, follow along, shout out.
Yes, the last discussion was quite good if you were here and remember that I don't know how to code anymore, which is lovely. Look, my file is still open from last time. Isn't that great? Okay, so we're gonna open up a new file. You know, you guys don't have to follow along. It's okay.
We'll post all the
Python file, yes. Good coding etiquette. Yes. Thank you. Is that good?
We'll see.
Okay, cool. So just as a quick little refresher, if you're gonna make a list, you need brackets. So if I'm gonna make some list called numbers, I need to put these 2 brackets, and then anything I put inside of it is gonna be a list. Okay. Actually, yeah, let's keep 2 5s. So there's my list of numbers. Lovely. If we could do a bunch of different things, it's just a good way of classifying information, collecting a lot of data. We'll get into this later, but they're nice. And they're especially nice because, wow, I can type and talk at the same time. Just because you can change the information in them. So that's really nice if you have, data that you're parsing through or something and you want to apply some equation to it, you can change the value in there and go, okay, this is my new data with things either removed because you can parameterize it or whatever you want to do to it. And then you can also put different types of data in them, which is also another convenient thing. So we have 4 different types of information here. We have a string, integer, and a boolean, and then none, which is cool. Sorry, I did not save my file. Okay. So yeah, we're all good on lists? No questions there? Cool. And then just to review the syntax for like indexing through them, indexing is just start, stop, and then step. And you could do negatives for all of those and get really convenient things through that. Okay. And then just like general syntax things, if you have a string, you want to make sure that your whatever like quotations you're putting around it are matching, because you can do both. So like cherry and banana would both be considered a string, and that's fine. Your Python will read it as the same. But if you do that, it's going to be mad at you, and it's not going to know what you're talking about because they don't match. Okay. And then, yeah, like I said up here, the reason I kept the 5s is because you can have duplicates. It's not like a function or anything like that, in the sense where like you can't have 2 things that map to the same number. These 2 occupy 2 different indexing spaces, so they don't technically occupy the same number because they're in a different index. Okay, moving on. An example of indexing would be like if we just want to see what 0 would do. Hold on, let me type this out. It's hard to type and talk. Okay. Okay, so I have a couple of different indexing things there, and I'm going to run it in my terminal real quick. I will do that. Thank you. Sorry, remembering file path names is hard. Okay. Yet another horribly long name. Ugh. And that's going to be terrible. Okay. Let's see what that does. That's lovely. Cool. Does that make sense? And it counts as 0 because Python is 0 indexed. So if you're ever doing something and it's not giving you the correct output, or if you're trying to parse through something and you're doing a loop or something on the homework and it's telling you that your range or whatever you're trying to loop through is out of range or not in the index or whatever, it's probably because you didn't start at 0, or you're adding 1 and then it's going beyond the list, and Python is stupid and it doesn't know that it's supposed to go to the end of it. Okay. And then the last one was just an example of the negative indexing. Instead of starting from the beginning, we're running it backwards, and it's only -1 and not like, something else because you start at 0. Cool? And then that also just goes to prove the fact that like loops are iterable. And that's what we just did. Okay. To show all of the commands that you can do to change a list, you can append something. So if I wanted to append and put another fruit in there, I could put date. Or if I wanted to insert something, which is basically the same thing, I can insert it into a specific spot. So the only difference between insert and append is that append is going to tack it onto the back of it, or like the end of it. And blueberry, you can insert it into a different spot. So if I wanted to insert it at 2 instead of 1, it'll put it at index 2 and replace that one. You can also remove something if you would like to. So I'm going to not do that yet and just show what the first 2 do. And then I'm just going to remove blueberry. Also, if I don't know if that's a command that's been shown yet, if you want to type something again very quickly, just press the up arrow. I don't type that fast. Okay, so cool. We have apple, banana, cherry, and cherry. Why are there 2 cherries?
It's still printing the food itself, like you.
Oh, lol. Ah, the print function.
Don't worry, when we get to functions, you don't have to do it in.
Functions?
And then you can just.
Jupyter? Ah, okay. There we go. There's my full list again. And then if I wanted to remove blueberry, quite intuitive. The remove function removes what you're talking about. And no more blueberries. Hate blueberries. I'm just kidding. They're pretty good, but we don't care. There's also a function called pop. If you wanted to pop 3, let's find out what that does. What did that do? Gets rid of the third one. Cool. I'm also learning with you guys. It's been a day. Okay, and then there's one more function, and if we want to clear it, no more list. How sad. Devastating. Nobody likes fruits. You should eat fruits. Don't get scurvy, please. Remove, you put in the name of what you're removing. So if you want to do, like if you wanted to remove 5, you would put in 5 instead. If you wanted to remove a specific index, it would be pop. Yeah. That's a good question.
When is it advantageous to use pop over and or vice versa?
So sometimes when you are, let's say you have like a really, really long string and maybe there's like a lot of words or a huge number or something, like just things like that where it's like calling the index is just easier.
Sorry, I'm just being a better coder. Cool. All right, so some notation for slicing. Given our list called numbers, if we wanted to slice this, it's going to be brackets again. And then, like I mentioned earlier, actually, let's move this. Sorry, we will post these again later. I know you don't have your laptops out. Don't worry about it. If you wanted to slice through this, what would this pause? Hold on. Just for ease of use. Does anyone know what this would print before I print it? You just shout at me. Yeah. So let's try it out. Okay, perfect. Cool. Prints out 3, 4, 5. Does anybody have any questions about that? We good with that? Cool. If we wanted to just do start to 4, you could also do that. You could just leave it blank, or you could also put 0 in there. I like to leave it blank because I'm lazy, but it really doesn't matter. I feel like it just makes me feel cool, you know, like I know something that somebody else doesn't. Which always makes, oh God. Okay, then we're gonna have this one. Lovely. Okay, so that's slicing. Cool, cool. Striding is basically like, it's very similar. Instead of just like splitting off different chunks of your function, you are striding through it at a specified interval. So if you want to skip every other one, you would just do you would do print numbers and then 2, which is the step, and that's just going to give us every other one. And you can do a lot of different variations of this. I'm just going to do a couple here. This is like probably what they made copy and paste for, but that's okay. Okay. So all of those are just different versions of like slicing and striding and what you can do. Like I said, very good for like analyzing data. If you see something like a particular star that is out of the distance range that you want it to be in, or it's out of a certain redshift that you want it to be in, which is pertaining to my research, then you get rid of it out of your list or dictionary or whatever, which, you know, later on we'll learn that those are also just arrays.
I have a question for people. Does anybody know why the last print statement printed out blank? Why is there nothing in that list? Well,
It went from 2 to 2.
yeah, perfect. So your start and stop overline are the same. So you guys have to be careful and cautious about where exactly.
That's a good note. The stop, I believe, is non-inclusive, right? I believe.
Yep.
And not the start. So when you start it at 2, and then you go until 1 if your stop is 2. That's why when you're like parsing through a list or something in a for loop, you always do like range plus 1 because it'll stop at the last one. That's not what I wanted. Okay, moving on to dictionaries. A dictionary is going to have curly brackets instead of just normal square brackets. And you're going to have your key, which in this case is going to be called name. I do not know what I pressed. Okay, it's going to be... Did you guys see that? Sorry, I don't know what I just pressed, but cool. Did you? Ah. Okay, apparently Shift U does something. Cool. Let's try that again. So the name, our key, and then we have our colon to denote that it's no longer a key name, and then we have vega, which is going to be our value, and then a comma to separate between our next key and value. Our next key is going to be magnitude, because we're doing star stuff, which is super cool. Colon, and then we can do some sort of integer value. So we'll do 0.57, and then we'll do distance. Again, denoted with the colon. If you haven't already experienced it, syntax is a huge thing that will mess you up if you're not paying very close attention to it. Okay. And we did a comment at the end to say that that was specifically in light years, and that's why the little curly bracket is on the second line. And then if we wanted to just print that, the entire thing should pop up. And it's star, not start. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so same thing. A couple of different like things you can do is that if you wanted to add something into a dictionary, you can change dictionaries as well. And you would just basically it's kind of like indexing. So you're saying I want to add this key, and you can add a value. It's just that you would have to type in a name that is already pertaining to a key that's there. So if you wanted to add something in a name, you would just put name there. But this is a new thing, so I'm saying I want to add in an extra thing, so class. So class of star A0V. And then you want to see, why did it not do it? Cool. So now it's added class there. You might have noticed that VS Code kind of reads it very plainly. We'll learn later with the Jupyter notebooks, some codes kind of read it beforehand. So even if I reset a value down here and I said print star, Python would already know that I changed something about it. But in VS Code, it doesn't. It just kind of reads it like start to finish. And so I printed star before, I changed something, and then it didn't know. That's why I had to print it again. Okay, so with that being said, if I wanted to delete something here, I could also delete star. If I wanted to delete the class, which is sad, short-lived. There we go, and it's gone. Back to the original. And similarly, you could do star.clear. And we're gonna have to print it again. And run it in the terminal, and there we go. It's empty now. Any questions? Are we clear on that? No pun intended. Also, I think I've mentioned this before, but just to mention it again, if your Windows, run it through your terminal that like automatically opens as PowerShell. If you don't have that set up to be automatically opened as Git Bash, come see either me or Ponathy and we'll set it up for you. Just because Git Bash doesn't let you run like Python 3, and for one of the homeworks you have to do that. So it gets a little weird. And yeah, if you wanted to call like specific values of the dictionary, which is a little bit less intuitive than a list, it's going to be star.keys. That'll print all of the keys, or like the name of your dictionary dot whatever value you wanted to call. So if we wanted to call the values, it's going to be values. And then if we wanted to call items, we would call all the items. And then print. Ooh. We want to print everything. That doesn't look right. Ah, I cleared it. Thank you. Okay, there we go. So assuming your dictionary is not cleared, it should print all the keys, values, and items. Okay, so that's kind of it for that review. I know that was probably horribly boring. Apologies, but it's necessary. So yeah, these are all the answers. Cool, nobody cares. Cool. All right, on to some more hopefully exciting practice questions.
Yeah, practice question time. Okay. Are we gonna have them code them or just like write out skeleton code? I feel like skeleton's better.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So for the practice questions, what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice something that I personally find very helpful, which is coding on paper or writing your code. This can be in the form of like a little flow chart, or it can be in the form of just whatever kind of chicken scratch you want. Just get it on paper, because a lot of times you'll be like approached with a problem that has a lot of parts. It's a little complicated, it's a little confusing. Especially for the further homeworks, and it'll have a lot of steps and intermediates. Always helpful to get something written down on paper before you start to be typing into your Jupyter or into your VS Code. So what we're gonna do, our first practice question is this. You're gonna use this function range. Again, I know you guys probably haven't seen it yet, just it is a function that is gonna create a list of numbers from 0 to 10. Call that list 1. And this is an example of what exactly it does. So list that range 0 to 4 gives out that. And then I want you to write out, number 1, how you get the first 5 elements of list 1, how do you get every other element of list 1, and then how do you reverse list 1 entirely. And it's okay if you don't have like the command fully memorized, just give me a general workflow and then we will code it out together. So I'll give you guys like a minute or so to do this. You can also talk to each other. It's a discussion. Please discuss.
Also, please close your laptops, because like Prodigy said, it is a discussion, and we're not using our laptops today. Please.
Thank you. Please talk to each other too. Trust me, make friends in the class. It'll help a lot for later down the line.
Oh, like, so different bunch, so if you had like a, so it'd be like, the other one, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. I think so, yeah, so they're like, yeah, your first and best, your last. And then, so you can have like, two, or maybe it's like starting at 0. And then has, yeah, I think it'd be fine. And then what? Wait, it starts at 0, the next 0, and then fine. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring us back together. It's okay if you didn't get through all the parts, but I will walk you through it the way that I would likely think through it if I was you guys. It's okay if it doesn't make sense, but that is what you're here to do. Okay, So the first thing it asked you to do was use this thing called range, which you guys might not be super familiar with, but like it said on the hint, a range basically outputs a range item that gives you all of these numbers between the start and the stop. So the first step is to create a list using the range function. So we're going to call my list list1, just because that's what we're calling it. And then we're going to use basically exactly what was said in the hint. We're going to create, okay, let me just show you guys something first. So range, and then does anybody know what they would put in the range to get the number 0 through 10? Yeah, go ahead. Perfect. So you put in 0 through 11 because, like we know, the stop is not inclusive. So now if I print list1, oh my God, where's the terminal? And then I'm going to run this. Now you guys are going to see this thing called range 0 to 11. That's clearly not a list of all the numbers 0 through 11. That's because what range outputs is something called a range item, which basically contains all those numbers, but it does not actually list them out. To get it to do that, what you do is you just cast it to a list. You'll see this a lot. Sometimes you'll have a decimal and you want it to be a integer, or like a float and you want it to be an integer. You can just do this thing called cast, which is where you put the data type you want it to be outside of the thing that it is. So in this case, we're casting our range object to a list. So now when I print list1, sorry, we're going to go and get my list numbers. Does this make sense to people? Yes, cool. So that was our first step. That was making our list. Now, does anybody have any ideas of how to get the first 5 elements of this list? Yeah.
Call list1 and then in brackets 0:5.
0:5. Oh, perfect. So, let's test it out. Actually, let's type out the answers for multiple and then we'll test them out all together. All right, so the next part was how do you get every other element of list1? Anyone have any ideas? Yeah.
Like print list1 brackets 0.2.
Perfect. So 0.2. Okay. And then for the third part, oh my God. Our third part was how would you reverse list1? All right, let's try it. So our suggestion is -1 ... -1. It's always okay to try things. The one good thing about Python is you can run things literally hundreds of thousands of times. So let's see what happens. Okay. So we have our original list, which is this first guy. That's our list1. And now when we printed list1, 0 through 5, wonderful. That did what we wanted. It gave us the first 5 elements, 0 through 4, because of course things are weird and start at 0. Now the next part was to get every other number. Perfect, it did that. So we started at 0. We ended at the end of the list and we skipped through every other one by using a step of 2. Something good to note is that whenever you have like list indexing, the defaults for the start is the 0th index, the stop is the last thing in the list, and the step defaults to 1. So just remember that as so you don't have to actually type in those values. And then the last thing was printing a list, reversing it, and this did what we wanted because we started from the last thing and then went backwards one at a time. This check out for everyone? Yeah.
Are there other ways to reverse the list?
Are there other ways to reverse the list? I can think of a way that I've reversed lists before, but that was just me like going through a list, looping through it, and then appending the items backwards, which when you have this, it's just a lot easier. There might be a list reverse function in some kind of package like NumPy or something, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
You have like an idea for what, like something you.
Yeah, if you want to try something.
I
think another thing that you can do is in theory, I don't think you need this -1. Oh my God, that's not what I wanted to do. I think in theory, when you put the -1, it already knows it's starting at the end. So you don't need to, doesn't hurt to do it. So yeah, and if you wanted,
Sorry, I was just gonna say, not necessarily, it just, you're starting at 0 and it only goes backwards, so the nearest start would be -1, and if you specify -1, it's like the same thing, you can either put 0 at the start or you can put nothing.
I would just print 0 first one.
Because if you have 0 and you subtract 1, you're gonna get -1, so it starts there.
Oh, okay. So I'm just thinking like from the second one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That is a good question, because it does print 0, when it starts there, huh? But if you
I
have
think
an
it's
index-
because there's no, in theory, when you have a list of set indices, Python knows it starts at 0. So if you even if you put a -1 here, it's like, well, there is no -1 index, so it starts from the 0.
Yeah,
0 and then colon -1, but it prints like 0 as the first one.
no,
No.
start the same thing.
So the way that in my mind, the way I like to think about it is it looks at the step first. That's how I like to think about it, of like, okay, like first it takes a look at the step to see if it's positive or negative. If it's negative, it just starts from the back. If it's positive, it starts from the front. And then it considers a start and stop. Yes. Yeah, I think if I run this, it should.
No, because I see what you're saying. The step. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you're right.
So you're right.
It just knows for that one. Some brilliant little person who made Python. That in
Smart, yeah.
Python's smart in that case. Wait, that's so interesting. I've actually never tried. Huh. So the default when you're -1 is actually a -1 for some reason. So this is actually what you're doing when you do this.
Why did it not go backward each step from 0, the negative first index negative?
Because when you're already at the 0th index, there's nothing to go back to. It doesn't loop back around to the 10th.
Your start and stop is the same.
Yeah,
Oh,
because your start and stop is both 0.
Because if you're running backwards, you stop.
That was good. That was a good test. I'm gonna keep this in mind. This is very interesting.
This is like more encouragement for you guys to
Guys, mess around, try things, because you'll never know. Like, we clearly don't know, even though I've been teaching this class for now 4 years. Okay, cool. Lovely. We're gonna go back to the slides super quick. Where are the slides? Are they in here where they are? Okay. All right, any other questions? Any other things that we want to try with this part? Okay, lovely. So this is kind of what we just did. All right, next, we're gonna make something that we call a nested list. Nested just means make a list within lists. So first, you don't need to write out all this code, just think through how, like, kind of make a sketch of how you would make a nested list. And then this is what it tells you. If you are accessing an item in a nested list, you can think of a nested list as like a matrix, basically, because you have a list of lists. So yeah, can you draw it? Thank you. So a nested list is basically a matrix. It's okay if you don't know how matrices work. We don't expect that. Just like the structure of a matrix is just there's rows and there's columns. It's like a grid, like an XY grid. And so the way that a nested list works is you can basically have.
This is like A.
Yeah, perfect. So that's your list A, that's your list B, that's your list C. So they basically form the rows of a matrix. And then whatever your indices or elements inside each list is, that forms the columns. So that's a good way to think about it. So yeah, so we're gonna make a nested list, just write out how this looks to you in your head, which we kind of just gave you. And then second, try to figure out what calling this list at 2, 1 gives you. Which, again, if you're able to write out the list in like a square matrix form, that should hopefully be kind of intuitive. So everyone take a minute and try to do that.
As a prerequisite int, I guess, if you have your list, like a normal list, and this is your slicing, if you have like special list, we'll call it list 2. Okay, bear with me. Then you can have it column colons, and this is the format. It's just that we're doing 2 starting or stopping.
Alright.
Oh no,
sorry.
that's just
This is
index
location.
nation.
So like, if this helps you understand it, this is the same thing. It's like a coordinate system.
It's basically exactly like an XY grid. That's how you can think about it. Okay, everyone take a second. I think hopefully this is gonna be relatively intuitive once we walk through it.
If this is confusing, ignore it.
If it wasn't and it was helpful, listen. Take what you need from the class. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna keep moving just because we don't have much time left. All right. So first, let's make our nested list, which is just a list of lists. You can do this two ways. You can either type it all into one giganormous thing at the start, which would just be something like nested list equals. So I have my original list, and then you could put in like sub lists like this. And that could have your like list A, list B, list C. Another way to do it, I'm just going to show you because you can do it this way too. And sometimes it just looks cleaner like this. I think the numbers were 2, 4, 6. I forgot. What are the numbers? Okay, 8, 10, 12. So what this is doing is basically creating a square grid of like a 3 by 3. 14, 16, 18. And then instead of like typing everything in one really long, gnarly looking line, I'm just going to do A, B, C. Cool. Now I'm going to print nested list. Save that. Open up my terminal. Cool. So obviously it like kind of shows up in line, but you can think about it similarly. It's just like, this is what it looks like. Yeah, what's up?
Is there a limit to how many lists you can nest inside of other lists?
There is no limit. So you can in theory keep going forever and ever and ever. There probably will be a limit if like your computer just cannot store that much information, but there's no actual like limit. Yeah, what's up?
Is there a state of time iPhone?
Yes, we'll get to it. Don't worry. Give us like a week-ish,
Monday.
literally Monday, and you'll see the power of something called NumPy. Okay. So that is my nested list. Now, the thing that we asked is what do we think will be outputted if we do nested list to comma 1? Does anyone have any thoughts, opinions, ideas? Yes. Say that one more time.
Would it be 8?
Would it be 8? Let's try. Where is my terminal? It hates me. Can it? Oh, I think you have to do it as this, actually. I think this is how you do it. I don't think you can actually do it with the comma. I think that's NumPy syntax that bled over. So it is, in fact, 16. Let's talk through why. Okay, so we can see here that 16 is here because first we're going to go through the lists themselves. So we're going to go, A is our list 0, B is our list 1, C is our list 2. So now we're in list 2. We dealt with the 2. Now we're going to get the first element of list 2. Remember, everything's 0 index, so 14 is index 0, 16 is index 1. Does that make sense? I know like in your brain, you're like, oh, this is second row, first column. Totally understandable. Just add a 1 to everything that you do in Python. So this is in theory your third row, second column. Does this make sense? I don't know why people did this. I don't know why 0 indexing is a thing. It took me so long to like get the grasp of it when I first started coding. And now I forget that things aren't 0 indexed. So now things are backwards in my head. Okay, cool. I know we only have 3 more minutes, so we're just gonna take a very brief look at this last practice question, which...
Sorry.
Got it. Okay. Cool. So, again, I'm not going to expect you to like go through all this. I'm probably honestly just going to talk through this myself. But we have this beautiful dictionary that's kind of similar to one Katie made earlier, just with a couple more elements. It's called star zeta. There is names, which is names of 3 stars, their magnitudes, their distance in light years, and what constellation they're in. So the first thing is print all the star names using a loop.
Does anybody right off the bat have any ideas on how to do that? It's okay if not. Heike, I'm just going to copy this from right here. Thoughts, opinions, ideas. They don't have to be right. I hate when it does this. I should have just typed it from scratch. I got lazy.
While she's doing that, we seem dead. And I know it's that point of the semester where like all my classes just got real. So if you're behind in this class, we're also students and I'm not, implying anything, but we get to give you any extension that we want. So if you're struggling and you're like, oh no, the world is ending and I have Python decal homework, like come talk to
You
us.
don't have Python decal homework for a little bit that week.
Yeah, like come talk to us and we can either get you caught up in like 5 minutes and save you hours and probably tears, and give you an extension. Be kind to yourself. That is all.
Why is it yelling at me? Does anybody know why it's yelling at me?
It's stupid. The comma.
What comma? Oh, the commas are stupid too?
The negative might also be stupid.
Okay, don't copy paste code, guys.
Oh, because it was a dash, not a.
Yeah, it was a dash, not a negative. Okay. All right, now I have my dictionary, called stars data. And the way that I would go through and get all the names in here, like we said, you can access some things in a dictionary by just doing stars.name. That'll give me the names. So that'll just give me a list of the names of my stars. Oh my God. Lovely. So now I have this list of all my star names. And to loop through it, you could, in theory, just do like a 4 star in star named print star. I think this is going to do what I want it to do. It might not. Cool. So now I just printed everything but the last star because again, things are not, wait, no, it printed all 3. I'm sorry. I can't see my outputs, but yeah. Does it make sense what I did here? I know I went through that really quickly, but basically you can access a list of star names and then just loop through it to get all the stars. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Let us know if you have any questions. We will be lingering for a couple moments and come to office hours, please.
Percent. There we go. All right. I don't think. Okay.